Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. As promised, now it's about 7 days into the course and it's ready for the first bonus lectures where I will be answering your questions. I mean, I have already answered all the questions in a text format and also one in a low quality video format, but I want to answer them in this bonus lecture as well. That's just because I want to make it easier for students in the future that might have the same questions. I mean, it's a lot easier to just look at the videos than to scroll into the Q&A section. Without further ado, let's get started. The first question was by Michael, and it says, when I download your project files, I am getting the following message. This file is not commonly downloaded and may be dangerous. I believe that this is a message from Google Chrome, as it tries to make your web experience more safe. However, there is no need to worry about these files, as I already said in the answer, because those are the files that I'm using on my project as well, and my computer is perfectly clean. I have good virus protection, and a lot of people have downloaded the files already and nobody has complained. Moving on next, the second question is from Andrea on lecture 28. And she also provided great pictures to show the error. So this is her code, everything looks perfectly fine, but she's getting the format exception, input string was not in the correct format error. This error will occur if you try to get a player prefs entry that doesn't exist. In this case is on the line 26, where we are trying to get the string from the high score entry in player prefs. The problem is that we haven't created the high score yet, so we are getting this error message. Let me get into Unity. Now obviously I don't have this error myself, but I do know how to fix it. So the script that we are looking for is in the game over scene and it's attached to the main camera. If we right click it, we can choose Edit Script to open it up in Visual Studio. So in order to get rid of this issue, if you have it, what you need to do is to create a high score entry in the player prefs first, before beginning. So at the beginning of the start method, we want to type in player prefs dot set string, and we want to create an entry for high score, and after that, separated by a comma, we want to type in any value, for example 0. It is a string though, so don't forget to put it inside of quotation marks. So what this will do, at the start of this script, it will create a player prefs entry named high score and it will set it to 0 every time. Now we obviously don't want to keep this, we only need it once to create it. So what we'll do is save this, then go back to Unity and run the game. Now since we have run the game, the start method of the script was initialized and a player prefs entry was created for high score. What we need to do next is go back to the script and simply delete this line of code, since we don't want it to set the high score to 0 every time. Make sure you save it again, and everything should be working now, including this. If you go back and click play, you shouldn't be getting the error message anyway. I have already explained that in the text format, however I believe it's better to see it for yourself in a video. The next question is about the velocity of the camera, and it says, isn't it better to make the velocity of the camera or half body equal to the velocity of the player object? And basically I will tell you the same thing that I wrote in the question. You can play around with it and see how it works for you. One reason because I did the camera like this is that it's kinda individual, so you can use the same camera movement method in any game that you are creating. If you are making another game, you can simply make a similar camera movement for the other game as well. I also believe that making the camera a child of the player game object will achieve the same thing, and it will not quite give you the original color switch camera movement. So anyway, I do not think that it's better to make the camera velocity equal to the player object velocity. The next question is from lecture 14, and it says small circle is not rotating around the center. Ahmed also recorded a video which is super helpful to explain what kind of problem he has, and I'm going to play it for you. So as you can see, this circle obstacle is kinda wiggling around and not moving in a correct way. And I know exactly how to fix this problem. I also made a YouTube video to explain it as best as I can to him. However, the audio quality wasn't very good because I had the wrong microphone input, and now I decided to redo it. And also explain this to everybody else who might have the same problem. So if I go to Unity, and obviously you will not have all of these objects by lecture 14, so don't get confused by that. The problem is with the small circle. So the small circle is an empty game object which is a parent of these obstacles that are separate. And those are actually the only thing that you can see about the obstacle. So this is invisible and it's holding the rotating script. So why is it rotating in such a weird way? Well, it's simple. These four obstacles are not centered in the same way that this small circle is centered. So if you want them to be rotating perfectly, the center has to be at the exact same place. If I select these four game objects and move them up a bit, you will notice the same thing. It's not rotating around the center. In order to fix this issue, what you need to do is to select the four obstacles and then drag them out of the small circle to make them not be a child of the small circle anymore. Once that is done, let's zoom in so we can see better. Select them again. The blue dot is the center of the circle. So we want the blue dot from the obstacles and the blue dot from the small circle to be at the exact same place. Let's drag the small circle up so the dot is on this line in order to remember where we set it. The next thing that we need to do is to select the four obstacles and make the center at the exact same place as we did with the small circle object. Once that is done, reselect the four obstacles and simply make them a child of the small circle again by dragging them into it. Now we can again take the small circle and drag it into position. And the problem should be fixed by now. And finally, the last question is about sorting layers. From lecture 20. It says, in this video you changed the sorting layer of the new sprite, color changer, but you didn't change it in the previous obstacles. What's the difference? This seems like a rather simple question, however, the student wanted to make sure that he is not missing anything, and that's perfectly fine. So as I already answered here, I think it's pretty clear, but I'm going to repeat it anyways. I said that it doesn't really make a difference, and that the default sorting layer of the previous obstacle will work in the same way. This is just to ensure that the player is rendered on top of every other game object. So again, it shouldn't make any difference. Thank you for watching this bonus lecture, and I hope that some students might find it useful later on. The next bonus lecture can be expected on Saturday, and it will be about implementing ads into some of the games. And we will also try to answer the questions if there are any until then.